Kattar versus Giga Chikadze started the year off with an absolute banger. Can't wait to talk about this one. We'll go through the main event, and then we'll look at the other fights on the card. Smash that like button, guys, if you're new to the channel. Subscribe and turn those post notifications on. And let's start it off. We're going to talk the main event first. What actually happened in this fight? It starts off looking good for Giga Chikadze. He's kicking beautifully. He's landing great punches. He seems to have a real striking edge over Kattar. And then the slip followed up by Kattar getting in top position. As soon as it went to the ground, Kattar was pretty much able to secure top position for the rest of the round. He controlled from there. He was very heavy from the top position. Almost, submission attempts, good shots, had the back of Chikadze a bit, but Giga was able to survive. What you notice at the start of the second round is Giga is no longer the same fighter. The first round, he came out with serious pep in his step, huge shots being thrown, a lot of explosiveness. It dropped like 50%. And he looks like he's completely gassed out. I'm thinking maybe Giga Chikadze actually goes out there and gets finished now here in the second, even then the third round. But somehow, where we go 5 with Giga. He looked dead in the second and third, and then he survives onto 4-5, and he's throwing back. Giga Chikadze, for as tired as he was and how wobbly he was on his feet, didn't get knocked out by an absolute savage in Kattar, and was throwing back with really good strikes as well. I feel like Giga Chikadze, you kind of know what the hole is. It's his grappling sustainability, right? If he goes to the floor, he might not get finished, but he's going to tire himself out. If Kattar was able to land takedowns on him, I think he would have got a submission win. But Giga Chikadze's takedown defense is on point. Let's say that slip never happens. This fight can be going a whole other way. Unfortunately, it did for Giga Chikadze. He takes the loss here, and Kattar with a fantastic win. Let's take nothing away from Kattar, though. He went out there and did his thing. He absolutely put it on Chikadze. He didn't get tired. He was able to keep a high pace throughout the entire fight. I was super impressed by Kattar's stand-up game, outstriking the kickboxing champion. There's lots to like for Kattar moving forward. He's in an interesting position, right? Really bad loss a year ago, very similar to this one that he handed to Giga Chikadze against Max Holloway. Is he in the title picture? Well, Chan Sung Jung is getting the shot, so he's not necessarily going to be the next guy. But let's talk about maybe who could be next for Kattar after a big win like this. He was ranked number 5 in the world. He beat number 8 Giga Chikadze. If he's willing to accept somebody behind him, Josh Emmett is the fight. I'd be super intrigued to see those two striking savages go at it. I'd expect chaos. I could see a potential knockout favoring Kattar there, because it's not like the chin of either man really fades, but Jeremy Stephens did sleep Josh Emmett a while back, and I could see Kattar having a similar type win. But let's say he says, no, I only want to fight in front of me. I think the name that probably makes the most sense is Yair Rodriguez. I think that's a fantastic striking clinic. I don't know when either guy will be ready. They just went through hard 5-round fights. Loss for Yair, but a great performance against Max Holloway, and then a win for Kattar. I think that's the matchup. It's striker's delight. I'd want to see it. I'd say book that one. If they want to give him a step back, it would be Josh Emmett. But if you want to force him to the top dogs right away, you give him number 3 in the world, Yair Rodriguez, and what's a high-stakes fight. Now, on the opposite side with Giga Chikadze, where does he go from here after this one? Because he took a fairly clear loss, to be 100% honest here. I could see him around the level of Dan Ige. I don't think he goes too far back. He does have a win over number 10, Edson Barboza. Maybe he waits around for a bit. Certain matchups may open up with fighters losing. I don't know. Maybe the UFC says, listen, Giga, we're going to give you a while out, and then when you come back, maybe he fights, Brian Ortega, which is a scary matchup because grappling. You know what? Take that back. I don't think he fights Ortega because Ortega is a little bit up. He's too high up at number 2. I don't think Giga gets thrown that far back, though, because you're looking at 9 is Ige, 10 is Barboza. I'm leading the Ige fight for Chikadze. Could be Bryce Mitchell if he beats Edson, but that's a hellish matchup, a person that's really going to force you to go to the ground. And if Giga Chikadze gets put there, we see what happens. He fades. I think Bryce Mitchell on the floor potentially submits Giga. That's a dangerous fight to be in. I like him fighting against a Dan Ige. I even like him potentially fighting Josh Emmett if they're still, I said that odd. Josh Emmett if they're moving him up. I feel like Josh Emmett is still a fun fight for Giga Chikadze that he could potentially deliver on I don't know. We'll see what the UFC wants to do. It's an interesting spot. I still feel like Giga is a top flight contender, though. Like, I'm not ready to say he's done just yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be 9 months off. A beating like that, you don't come back from quickly. Learn what you can from it. And I think Giga Chikadze still, even after this rough defeat, has a bright future. Fantastic main event. I want to jump to some of the other fights, though. I don't want to just cover the main event. We'll talk first about the key fights, and then we'll go through the prelim results. Co-main, Jake Collier, Chase Sherman. This turned out to be a one-sided beatdown. On the money line, I said Jake Collier, lock of the night play. I'm glad to have came through with that. But the way he put it on Chase Sherman was more dominant, more violent than I could have expected. I thought it'd maybe be a striking knockout. Somebody gets clipped, flash knockdown, over. Chase Sherman got put on his back, takedown by Collier, which he's not known for. Collier gets on top position, unloading ground and pound, then gets the submission win. He beat him everywhere. That was so impressive to me. Jake Collier at heavyweight has come into his own. He beat Carlos Felipe. I don't care what the judges said. He won that fight. And now he beats Chase Sherman. So realistically speaking, he's on a 3-fight winning streak, technically, right? If there's not a controversial decision. Of course, on paper, it's a loss. But I think we can jump him ahead. Jared Vanderaa and Arlovsky have a date. I want to see him taking on the winner. I think Jake Collier is a very intriguing matchup for either one of them. I especially would like to see the Arlovsky fight. Granted, if Arlovsky wins, it may call for a higher level guy, higher ranked guy. But I feel like Collier could be the guy that actually somehow finds a way to stop Arlovsky. He's looking good, and he's coming into his own at this weight class. He's got a decent flair to him. I like the personality. He's a guy that I can follow. I'm a fan of Jake Collier, and I'm looking forward to what's next for Chase Sherman. Disappointing loss here. He got beat down badly. 3 fights in a row he's lost. Lost to Parker Porter prior to this one. Isn't great. He lost to Arlovsky prior to that, which isn't bad, but the last 2 are rough. He might be seeing the walking papers and going back to BKFC, but I could also see Sherman sticking around for one more, and he could potentially win that one depending on the matchup. Let's keep on running through some of the key fights. Bontorin and Royval. This is interesting because people have said they feel Bontorin deserved the victory. Some felt it should have went his way. Here's the thing. If you look at the 3rd round, there was one tap. Regardless of if he went for the other one, it was one tap and like, no, I didn't mean to do that. Is that a tap? Does that count? Does the one tap stop the fight, or is it taps? You have to do multiple. Depends on the referee. One of them could have seen that and stopped the fight. Instead, ends up doing like a one tap, and then he finds a way out of the submission. He was ready to tap. It was close. Bontorin loses then a decision in a fight that some people may say they felt he won. Royval was active with volume from the bottom. He was throwing strikes. Bontorin's landing slams and takedowns. He's getting on top. But Royval's doing the damage from the bottom, throwing strikes at him. It's a hard way to score. It depends on the judging system you're using. Granted, moments for Bontorin more dominant on the ground that were like good positions, back control and whatnot, submission attempts. Brandon Royval had the closest of the submission attempts. If it's going round by round, tricky one to score. I can see why it was 29-28. Definitely not a 30-27. Royval gets it done, and he wins. More active from the bottom position. I'm excited for what Royval brings to the flyweight division, but I'm not sleeping on Bontorin. He's not a bad fighter. And I will say, the way Royval finished the fight was extremely impressive. That could have warranted a 10-8 round. I was thinking maybe we're looking at a draw. It didn't, though. Royval, right now, number 5 in the world. He beats Bontorin, who is ranked 7. Royval has a win over Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France booked against Askar Askarov. Could potentially be seeing an Alex Perez matchup down the line on his result. Will really be what it's based upon. I don't know if he's going to want to take a step back and fight like a Matheus Nicolau. I don't believe he would. We'll see some time off and then letting the division settle itself, especially after the title fight. Best method for Royval, who's in an interesting spot. Bontorin, unfortunate step back. It shouldn't set him too far back, though. I could still see him fighting, somebody inside of that top 10, even top 9. He does have a win over Matt Schnell, who's number 9. Overall, good fight. I enjoyed this one. These two went after it. Doesn't matter the result, whether you agree with it or not. It was a damn good fight. Enjoyable matchup. Let's keep on running through the card. And let's talk about Katlyn Chookagian and Jennifer Maia. This fight right here was a pretty similar one to the original. I would say close by a bit. Maia, she attacked. She had moments, landed some decent strikes. Mistakes were made. She went for that crazy ninja-style throw, gets her back taken. Chookagian fought well from range, landed some takedowns of her own. She sends Jennifer Maia back. And now Chookagian is in a position where she's really close to a title fight. It's hard to deny her. I look at the rankings there, and I know Miesha Tate's book versus Lauren Murphy, which murkies the water. If that wasn't happening, I'd say probably Chookagian rematch with Shevchenko, which doesn't really intrigue too many. But because Miesha Tate's fighting Lauren Murphy, that won't be the case. I could see Chookagian, Talia Santos next. She'll have to probably fight one more because the beating against the champ was one-sided. The champ might be getting booked potentially if Miesha Tate beats Lauren Murphy. She's definitely getting the title shot. So interesting position to be in. Jennifer Maia, disappointing loss. I don't know exactly what they'll do with her. She's in an interesting position, maybe in a Royval matchup, but not certain there. We'll see. Good win for Chookagian, though, who moves forward. And running to the next one, we'll finish out the main card before jumping to the prelim first fight of the night. Slava Claus knocks Dakota Bush out in a competitive fight. He did get taken down. He got tested a bit. When he got it back up to his feet, he was death. He landed a beautiful strike that badly hurt Bush to the body as Bush was throwing a shot. It was a beautiful left hook to the body. Down goes Dakota Bush. Finished. Slava's got power. He comes to fight. He's very entertaining. He's a guy to watch. The wrestling concerns me. He's going to keep polishing up that hole. His stand-up is phenomenal. He has a special type of KO power. But if wrestling is threatened, there's certain matchups I do see him struggling in a division at 155 where you need to know how to wrestle. Even if you have this great stand-up game, the grappling, there's some savages there. For Dakota Bush, tough loss. I won't give it an exact fight for Borishev next because who knows what they do with a guy making his debut. Bill Algeo, Joanderson Brito, underdog. Algeo comes through. He beats Brito in a very competitive back-and-forth fight. Brito rushes forward. Algeo likes to keep the hands low. Both guys were caught with good strikes. Both had good moments. I see why Algeo got it. I was impressed. He also had the better gas tank than Brito. Was able to use some wrestling, which he's not known for in this matchup. Good stuff for Bill Algeo. He goes out and calls Giga Chikadze. That's not going to happen, but it's a cool call out. And he knew about the potential grappling weakness between the two, talking about past training sessions. He's not going to get that fight, though. No chance. Good win against Joanderson Brito, though. And if you bet him, you cash nicely. Jamie Pickett, Joseph Holmes. I'll be honest, it was not a fantastic matchup. Lots of clinch work. Kind of a harder one to watch through, but still a fight. It was a decent matchup between these two. I mean, it was okay. It was all right. I'm not going to hate on it. Good clinch work, some decent teeps from range. Joseph Holmes got tired. Jamie Pickett kept pushing on him. He kept getting too close, and then they clinch up. But it is what it is. That's how the fight game goes. Not always perfect performances. Pickett wins. He also cashes as an underdog. Moving to the next one, Court McGee, Ramiz Brahimaj on the prelims. Fantastic fight. These two gave a good scrap, but it was all Court McGee. Ramiz started to break, and you could see that Court McGee is the crusher. He crushes people. He crushes your spirit. He's an absolute savage. At 37, he still got it. His grappling was better than the pure grappling specialist Ramiz Brahimaj here, the young 29-year-old. I'm impressed by Court McGee, man. He's still got something left, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds for Court McGee. Even though I never see him, in title-type contention, he's still a solid gatekeeper who's going to be an ultimate test for most guys, and I'm glad he's able to make some nice cash for himself as well. So congrats, Court McGee, Ultimate Fighter Season 11 winner. So long time back. Brahimaj sent back. We'll see what they do next for both these guys. I have no opponents. Brian Kelleher beats Kevin Croom, who took it on short notice. Got to respect Croom for going to 3 rounds. Kelleher knocked him down a couple of times. I was impressed by Kelleher's game. He looked pretty good. Brian Kelleher's well-rounded, man. Lands some takedowns. Croom couldn't stop it. He was physically stronger. He's a shorter guy, but he's a damn strong guy. At 145, Kelleher looks better. And against a guy that not super high level at 45 like Kevin Croom, Kelleher's going to succeed. Great performance for Kelleher. Croom's still a fun guy to watch nonetheless, but disappointing loss for him there. And to start the night off, we had TJ Brown and Charles Rosa go the 3 rounds, and it looked like Charles Rosa's recent fights. He's getting controlled on the floor for majority. He went for it a bit, tried. TJ Brown superior in pretty much every position on the ground, more pressure on the striking as well. Gets a pretty well-deserved win. We'll see what the UFC does with Rosa. He's in a weird spot. I mean, you look at the last few, they haven't been great, but he did the UFC this favor, taking it on short notice. You look at it, 2 losses in a row, beats Justin James on a split, Darrick Minner loss, Kevin Aguilar split. He hasn't been having great results as of late. I still look forward to watching Rosa fight each and every time for TJ Brown. Good win for himself. He gets some momentum really going for him. We'll see what the UFC wants to do with Rosa, but I do think they keep him around. He's a fun guy to put on the cards. Maybe when they go back to Boston, you definitely got to throw him on there. Overall, I got to say, not the greatest card of all time, but to have fights back was A++. So I was just happy about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this full card breakdown, what actually happened for Calvin Kattar versus Giga Chikadze. Much love to everybody that supports. Turn the post notifications on, subscribe, smash the like button. See you all in the next video. Peace, guys.